Hey everybody, this is Dylan Kid here, and today I'm going to talk to you about another fan fiction idea called Sidekick, Losers for Hire. So this series is basically about a continuation of the Sidekick series. Sidekick, the Canadian anime series about, four sidekicks in training in a world, or rather a town called Splitboro, where basically the town is divided between heroes and villains. So basically, it's a popular Canadian anime series back in the early 2000s. What was it? And basically, it stars Eric Needles, who basically is the sidekick to this world Superman, or he's called Maximan, and basically the whole premise is that like Maximan is like, and all heroes by extension are also very much like the boys, where basically they're all kind of self-entitled jerks who more or less mistreat their sidekicks on a daily basis. And Maximan, being this world Superman, is the worst of them all, and to put on and to put everything into perspective, like he never really shows up physically in the show. Like there's always imposters, there's always like people disguising as him and stuff. But like he never shows up in the show because he literally like first day he like basically Eric Niels was a orphan that he basically adopted to be a sidekick, and then basically sometime before the start of the series he left somewhere. Nobody knows where he is. Nobody knows where he went. He left one day and never really went back. So he might have like just retired and basically just say, "Hey, your problem now," swoop, and basically went on a whole sabbatical and basically never went back. So, and for those who actually seen the series um, firsthand, like I actually see the finale, Eric Neal's like the whole show is very much a sadist show where they love the shit on the main character, and Eric Niels is like your typical like nerdy sort of guy, and more or less like everybody kind of hates his guts for some reason, including some of his friends, to a point where like is they always like this show always loves to make the main character feel like crap. You know what I mean? It's one of those shows. And basically, yeah, it has a great humor and basically has great action. It has great ideas for superheroes. It's just that, like, this show loves to rag on his main character to a point where in the finale, he finally gets what he wants. He basically gets a super suit that allows him to get superpowers. He starts to save the day a lot more. He starts to feel confident about himself. It's graduation. He's basically graduated from Psychic Academy with all his friends. And of course, basically, during graduation, where he's like, finally, I'm out of here. He was trying, like, they put, like, all the diplomas in one giant bin. One giant bin that's like, hey, find your diploma and you pretty much graduate here. So basically, he's like, okay, I'll just use my extra revision to more or less find my diploma and just get out of here. Problem is, he has his like the super suit that allows him to get all of Maximan's powers. He only has those powers for like a couple of days, so he hasn't really mastered that powers yet. So instead of using heat vision, he accidentally uses heat vision to basically vaporize all the actual diplomas. So everybody's still pissed, like, wait, what? So basically, like Pummel Professor Pummel, basically their super villain turned professor. They're like, hey, yeah, you just burned all the diplomas, so yeah, you have to repeat the whole course over again. Which ends on a pretty bitter, like, really fucked up note. Hold on. Yeah, the show ends on a pretty fucked up note where basically, like, all of his friends hate him, and basically all the students are beating him up because he single-handedly cost them their graduation. So with that being said, um, that's how the series ends. Misadventures aside. So my whole thing is like I didn't really like that ending, so I want to give it the proper ending it kind of deserves. So this sets like the series is now set like 12 to 13 years later. Basically, like the main characters Eric Needles, Kiriko, Vanna Galama, and Trevor Trollmeyer are all 20 something adults living in a Maxim mansion. Maxim Man's whole fortress of solitude, more or less. They're basically 20 something year olds are basically doing nothing, just party and just lays around the Max Imagine because they finally graduate the Sidekick Academy. It's just that they got nothing better to do. So basically, the Maxim Brain, aka the supercomputer that runs the mansion, basically is like, fuck it, you guys, all four of you, you're out of here. Basically, like the Kasuki computer of the mansion kicks them out because they're 20 something now and they should live off by themselves. Yeah, like they don't need supervision anymore. They're adults, more or less. And it's just him kicking them out of the nest, more or less. So with that being said, the now 20 something Eric Neal is like, okay, we need to figure out a way to literally just like make a living, more or less now. So what he suggests is that like what they come up with was that they became professional sidekicks, adult sidekicks to actual superheroes that who get paid a salary. So basically, they still perform as sidekicks to other superheroes, but as adult sidekicks with more experience and more genre savvy of being a sidekick, and more or less they get paid. Regular sidekicks don't get paid, so basically, they get paid a salary and more or less like they get paid by the hour. So that's how they make money. So they start doing this and all that, while also more or less mature as adults. Um, Basically, like for Eric, he basically comes to realization that like a lot of his problems are more self-inflicted, and if he thought stuff more and basically thought things out through more and more or less like actually apply himself, he more or less would be a pretty good hero. So basically, and not only be a pretty good hero, but also if he would apply himself more in general life, he would probably have a way better life than he already had been. So he made some changes to his life. He starts to work out. He basically through that workout, he starts to develop his own superpower, similar to Maximan. He basically gets the confidence enough to actually date around. He actually dates Kiriko, the yandere's, girlfriend of his that really isn't his girlfriend. But like, basically, Kiriko finally gets hooked up with Eric, and of course, all the other characters like Vanna and Trevor start to apply themselves as well, start to actually grow up a little, and of course, they start to develop their own unique powers. Vanna basically goes off vacation in Brazil, basically gets a suntan that basically allows her to basically that via that suntan that basically allows her to have all the powers of Luke Cage. So she has unbreakable tan skin now. Trevor embraces both his evil side and his good side, so he has more like a reverse Jekyll and Hyde type of power. So yeah, he's dumb at first, but he could change into like a super genius evil side wherever he wants. And basically, he's kind of like a reverse Jekyll and Hyde in that regard. So with that being said, there's also Kiriko who also master her abilities, and she has one of the most unique powers, fat and muscle manipulation. So instead of like side shifting, she has the ability to basically, manipulate the fat and muscle cells within her body so she can be like super beefy, muscular Hulk like, or like super dummy thick wherever she wants. So with that being said, that's the whole thing with her. And plus, she's also a computer genius, so she's also one of the resident geniuses of the team, which all come to a head where they decide they literally want to become their own superheroes and basically finally became superheroes in their own rights and basically start to save the scene more and more. And then here's the kicker. Basically, after all that, well, there's that. After all that, basically, after basically Mandy more or less became part, Mandy's destruction, basically, Eric's sort of super villain romantic basically Eric's old girlfriend who basically uh more or less became part of the team, and basically she went from being a supervillain to superhero, so she has a little bit of a redemption arc here. So she basically part of the team and stuff. All that's happening, and basically they become superheroes. Then Maximan shows up, the literal, real deal Maximan. So basically, Maximan's like, okay, so my old sidekick is literally becoming his own superhero and basically, overshadowing me. So, all right, I'll just come back out of retirement and basically show this kid what for. Basically, he's trying to reclaim his glory as the number one hero. So basically, Maximan comes out of nowhere, comes out of retirement. Basically, like, Eric's like, okay, where have you been all this time? It's like, oh, I was away. I was just saving the galaxy and stuff. It's like, really, where in the galaxy? Because we've been looking for you everywhere, motherfucker. And basically, like, Eric is really suspicious of Maximan now. He used to idolize him as a kid, but now he's basically like, okay, this guy is shady as hell, shadier than most villains. So he discovered that he wasn't saving the galaxy at all, but he was just on vacation, just hiding away around the world, just so he would not face responsibility or anything when it comes to safeguarding the city of Splitsboro. And so basically, he, like Eric, being a responsible superhero now, is like, fuck this shit. He's a traitor, and not traitor, but like he is a false hero. He's basically fake. He's basically never been doing anything for the past 10 years. So basically, like, he's a fraud. So basically, Eric kind of exposed Maximan for the fraud he is. Maximan does not take this lightly and basically, challenges him to a fight all across the city, and basically, Eric and his team versus the actual heroes, the actual Laser team. Laser is, Canada's version of like the Justice League. So basically, they took it out, and basically, surprisingly enough, Eric and his team won and kick Maximan out the door, and basically they became supervillains. So Maximan basically is a fallen hero now. He's basically a supervillain, and he pretty much runs the supervillain side of the town. So with that being said, with the day being saved, more or less, Eric now calling himself Maximan 2, and with all of his new friends, he basically became the new hero of the world, and he basically became the new Maximan, and basically, they formed the Losers. The Losers are the League of Super Elite Renegades. Super, basically the League of Super Elite Renegade Superheroes. Basically losers. Uh, but yeah, that's the acronym. So with that being said, that's basically, as they grow up even more as superheroes, they have kids of their own. And that's pretty much essentially the whole plot of Sidekick L.O.S.E.R.S. Basically, it's basically like ending of the Sidekick series where they went from nobodies to sidekicks to pro sidekicks to superheroes. So yeah, that's sort of my whole thing on the whole actual Sidekick series, and that's sort of my whole idea of how to continue the Sidekick series from there and actually make it into an actual superhero series. So yeah, that's pretty much been my idea of Sidekicks Loser vs. Higher. So I hope you all like this and enjoy it. And this is me, the Okinawa Kids, signing out.